The summer sky over Newport, Rhode Island was bright blue. Kids played in parks and backyards, enjoying their last week of freedom before school started again. Samantha Carter, a 12-year-old girl with curly brown hair and bright eyes, rode her bike down the street to meet her friends at the beach. Her mom had packed her a lunch and told her to be home by dinner time. It was a normal day, just like any other. No one knew that high above Earth, hidden from radar and telescopes, strange ships waited and watched. At the beach, Samantha met her friends Lucy and Brad. They spread their towels on the sand and talked about what teachers they might get this year. Other kids were there too, swimming, building sand castles, and playing frisbee. Parents sat under umbrellas reading books or watching their children play. The first sign that something was wrong came at 3:17 p.m. Eastern Time. The sky suddenly grew darker, as if clouds had rolled in. But when people looked up, they saw something that made their hearts stop. Huge dark shapes blocked the sun. Not clouds, but massive ships unlike anything made by human hands. At the Newport beach, parents jumped up and ran to grab their children. Samantha's friend Lucy started crying. Brad pointed at the sky, his mouth open but no words coming out. Samantha felt cold fear run through her body as one of the ships moved directly overhead, blocking out the sun completely. A woman screamed, "Run! Get the children inside." But it was too late. Bright blue light shot down from the ships, touching the ground in perfect circles. Where the light touched, it froze everything in place. Adults who had been running suddenly stopped, unable to move. Only their eyes showed their terror as they watched their children, still able to move, being pulled slowly upward into the light. Samantha tried to run. She really did. Her legs moved as fast as they could carry her across the sand. But the blue light caught her anyway. It felt warm at first, then cold. Then she felt herself being lifted off the ground. She looked down and saw her feet dangling in the air, getting farther and farther from the sand. She screamed for her mom, but her mom wasn't there. All across the world, the same thing was happening. In playgrounds, schools, parks, and backyards, children between 8 and 14 years old were being taken. The ships had appeared over every major city, and many small towns too. No place was safe. At the United States Space Defense Headquarters in Colorado, Commander Alan Mitchell watched helplessly as radar screens showed the alien ships appearing all over the world. He had been one of the first to spot them, but by the time they understood what was happening, it was too late to do anything about it. "Get me the president," he shouted, his face pale with fear and anger, "and launch everything we have at those ships." Jets scrambled from bases around the country, carrying the most advanced weapons humans had ever built. They fired missiles at the alien ships, but the missiles either exploded far from their targets or simply disappeared when they got close. Nothing worked. Commander Mitchell watched a live video feed from New York. The ships were huge, dark, and shaped like flat triangles. They had no visible engines or windows. They just hung in the air, impossible and terrifying, while blue beams pulled children up into them. His phone rang. It was his wife, Catherine. "Alan, they took Jeremy from his school," she said, her voice breaking. Their son was 10 years old. "I was on the phone with his teacher when it happened. They said blue light came through the ceiling and took all the kids. The adults couldn't move." Commander Mitchell closed his eyes. Their son was gone, like thousands of other children being taken right now. "I'm doing everything I can," he said, though he knew it wasn't enough. Nothing they had could stop these ships. Catherine Mitchell wasn't just a mother. She was also a scientist who studied alien life forms. She worked at NASA, looking for signs of life on other planets. And now that life had come to Earth, and it had taken her son. "I'm going to the lab," she said. "Our satellites must have recorded something. Maybe we can figure out who they are or where they're going." Across the world, the pattern was the same. The ships appeared, took children, and ignored all attempts to fight them. Tanks, jets, missiles, nothing could touch them. In some places, people tried to hide their children in basements or caves, but the blue light found them anyway, passing through solid rock as if it wasn't there. 6 hours after they first appeared, the ships finished their work. In total, they had taken over 300,000 children worldwide. Then, as suddenly as they had appeared, they rose higher into the sky, growing smaller and smaller until they were just dots, and then nothing at all. But as they left, a message played on every radio. TV, computer, and phone in the world. It was in all languages at once, spoken in a flat voice that sounded neither male nor female. The offspring will serve the greater necessity. Resistance is inadvisable. Then silence. For 3 days, the world was in shock. Parents whose children had been taken couldn't eat or sleep. Many had to be given medicine to calm them down. Police and army people searched everywhere, but there was no sign of the children or the ships. Catherine Mitchell didn't sleep. She worked day and night, studying data from satellites and space telescopes. On the 4th day, she made an important discovery. They didn't take children randomly, she told her husband and a room full of military leaders. They chose specific, genetic patterns, children with certain DNA. This wasn't random, it was a harvest. A harvest for what? Someone asked. I don't know yet, she said, but I do know where they went. She showed them pictures from a deep space telescope. The images showed the ships gathering far beyond the moon, then creating some kind of hole in space. An artificial wormhole, scientists called it. The ships had gone through this hole to another part of space, maybe another galaxy. Can we follow them? Commander Mitchell asked. Not with what we have now, Catherine said. But we can build what we need. That night, the President of the United States spoke to the world. His own grandchild had been taken, and there were tears in his eyes as he spoke. Today we are not Americans, Russians, Chinese, or Europeans. Today we are humans, and someone has taken our children. I promise you, we will get them back. Whatever it takes, however long it takes, we will find our children and bring them home. And those who took them will learn that humanity is not to be trifled with. All around the world, people listened. Parents cried. Scientists began working on new technologies. Military leaders planned. And a single purpose united the human race. For the first time in history, find the children, bring them home, and make those responsible pay. The hunt for humanity's children had begun. 6 months after the children were taken, Earth had changed. Countries that once fought each other now worked together. Rich and poor, black and white, east and west. None of that mattered anymore. All that mattered was getting the children back. The old United Nations building in New York now housed something new. The Earth Defense Alliance, or EDA for short. Every country on Earth had joined. They shared all their secrets, all their technology, all their money. Everything went to one goal: building ships that could cross space to find the stolen children. Dr. Olivia Barnes walked through the halls of the MIT Science Building, her footsteps echoing in the quiet. Before the aliens came, hundreds of students would have filled these halls. Now only the brightest minds remained here, working day and night. Everyone else had gone to factories, building the parts for humanity's new space fleet. Olivia had been a physics teacher, studying how space and time worked. Now she led the world's top scientists in figuring out how to make a wormhole, a shortcut through space like the one the aliens had used. Dr. Barnes, you should see this, called her assistant, Peter. He sat at a computer looking at numbers and graphs that would mean nothing to most people, but to Olivia they meant everything. She looked at the screen and felt her heart beat faster. The numbers work, she whispered. They actually work. For 6 months, they had tried and failed to make a stable wormhole model. The math always fell apart. But now somehow it worked. How did you fix it? She asked. Peter looked up, his eyes red from lack of sleep. I didn't use Earth math. I used what we saw in the alien signal. Their language has different math rules. Once I used their way of thinking, it all came together. Olivia touched the screen gently. They thought we were too stupid to understand their technology. That was their mistake. She picked up her phone and called Commander Mitchell, who now led the military side of the EDA. We've got it, she said. We can build a wormhole generator, we can find them. On the other side of the world, in an underground base in Australia, General William Hayes stood in a large room filled with strange machines. This had been a normal military testing ground once. Now it held pieces of technology that no human had dreamed of building just 6 months ago. "Show me what you've got," he said to the engineers around him. A woman named Susan stepped forward. She had lost her daughter to the aliens and hadn't smiled since. She pointed to what looked like a gun but unlike any gun ever built on Earth. "We call it the Disruptor," she said. "Based on the scans we took of the alien ships, they use a kind of energy field we've never seen before. This weapon matches that energy, but with an opposite wave pattern." "Like noise-canceling headphones?" the general asked. Susan nodded. "But for their ship shields. If it works, it will make holes in their defenses." "If it works," repeated the general. "How can we test it?" Susan picked up the weapon. "We built a small copy of what we think their shield technology is like." She pointed to a glowing blue bubble in the corner of the room. "Watch." She aimed the disruptor and fired. There was no sound, no flash of light, just a ripple in the air. When it hit the blue bubble, a hole appeared. The hole stayed open for about 3 seconds, then closed again. 3 seconds, said Susan. Enough time to fire a missile through or send a team inside. General Hayes smiled for the first time in months. "Make more," he said. "As many as you can." In Washington, D.C., Catherine Mitchell worked in what had been her son's bedroom. The wall still had posters of space and dinosaurs. His bed was still made, waiting for him to come home. She sat at a small desk, looking at star maps on her computer. The phone rang. It was her husband, Alan. "I just heard from Dr. Barnes," he said. "They've figured out the wormhole technology. We can go after them, Kate." Catherine felt tears in her eyes. For months, she had studied the path the alien ships had taken, trying to guess where they might have gone. Now they had a way to follow. "I know where to look," she said. "I've narrowed it down to 3 possible star systems." "How can you know that?" Alan asked. "The children are sending us a message," she said. "Listen." She played a recording. It sounded like static at first, but then, faintly, came the sound of children singing. It was "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star," a song almost every child on Earth knew. "This signal has been coming from space for the last 2 weeks, she said. "It's too weak to be noticed by regular equipment. But I've been scanning specifically for human radio patterns." "It could be a trap," Alan said. "Or it could be our children telling us where they are," Catherine answered. "Either way, we have to go." For the next 2 years, humans built and tested and prepared. Factories that once made cars now made spacecraft parts. People who had been office workers now trained as space soldiers. Scientists who had competed against each other now worked side by side. The biggest challenge was keeping hope alive. Some parents couldn't bear the waiting. Some lost faith that their children would ever come home. But most held on, driving themselves harder each day to make the rescue mission possible. Finally, in a secret base under the mountains in Colorado, the first of Earth's space fleet was ready. 7 huge ships, each named after one of Earth's continents. The biggest was called North America, and it would lead the mission. Admiral Julie Ramirez would command the fleet. She had been a Navy captain before the aliens came. She had lost her nephew to the abduction. On the night before the fleet would leave Earth, she couldn't sleep. She walked through the huge underground dock where the North America waited. The ship was massive, bigger than an aircraft carrier. It hummed with power from engines no human had imagined building just 3 years earlier. A noise made her turn. A group of people stood nearby, parents of missing children. They came every day to help build the ships, to feel like they were doing something to bring their kids home. "Will you find them?" asked a man with tired eyes. Admiral Ramirez nodded. "We will find them. We will bring them home. And we will make sure no one ever takes a human child again." The next morning, October 12th, 2031, exactly 3 years after the abduction, the Earth fleet took off. People around the world watched on screens as the 7 massive ships rose into the sky, carrying humanity's hope and rage to the stars. Before they left Earth's atmosphere, Admiral Ramirez spoke to her crew and to the world watching below. "We go not as conquerors or explorers," she said. "We go as parents, as family, as protectors. We go to bring back what is ours and to teach the universe a simple lesson. Humanity protects its own. Whoever took our children is about to learn what happens when you face humanity's wrath." The ships activated their wormhole generator. A swirling circle of light opened in space before them. The Earth fleet moved forward into the unknown, beginning humanity's first journey to the stars. The trip through the wormhole was rough. Inside the flagship North America, people held onto their seats as the ship shook. Lights flickered. Alarms blared. 3 smaller ships didn't make it through. They broke apart in the strange tunnel of light that connected Earth to the faraway star system. Admiral Ramirez gripped her command chair. Her knuckles were white. "Hold together," she whispered, though she wasn't sure if she was talking to the ship or to herself. With a final violent shake, the North America burst out of the wormhole. 4 other large ships followed. They had made "Torsion damage report," Ramirez called. "Minimal damage to our main ships," her second-in-command reported. "But we lost the Freedom, the Intrepid, and the Voyager in transit." Ramirez closed her eyes briefly. 300 good people gone in an instant, but they had known the risks. Everyone on this mission was willing to die if it meant saving the children. "What do we see?" she asked, turning to the main screen. The view took everyone's breath away. They had emerged near a yellow sun, much like Earth's. Around it circled 3 planets that looked like they could support life. Even from this distance, they could see lights on the night sides of the planets, cities or industrial centers. "We found them," Ramirez said softly. Dr. Ethan Ross floated up to the command deck. In the lower gravity sections of the ship, people moved by pushing themselves along. Ross was the fleet's expert on alien cultures and behavior. His job was to understand the aliens, why they took the children, how they thought, what they wanted. "The signals are coming from the 3rd planet," he said, pointing to a blue-green world. "The children's song is being broadcast from there." "Could it be a trap?" Ramirez asked. "Possibly," Ross admitted. "But our long-range scans show massive energy readings consistent with large-scale computer systems. If they're using the children the way we think they are, that's where they'd be." Catherine Mitchell joined them, her face tight with worry. "What do you mean, the way we think they are?" Ross hesitated. "Based on the data we've gathered, we believe the aliens, the Meraxians, as they call themselves, are using the children as part of their computer systems." "Using them?" Catherine's voice rose. "How?" "The human brain can make connections that even advanced computers struggle with," Ross explained. "Especially children's brains, which are still developing and extremely flexible. We think the Meraxians are somehow linking the children's minds to their technology, using them as living processors." The command deck went silent. The idea was horrible. Children used as parts in an alien machine. "Are they—" Admiral Ramirez couldn't finish the question. "Alive?" "Yes," Ross said. "The signal suggests they're conscious and aware. They're not being hurt physically, but they're trapped in the system." Catherine covered her mouth with her hand. "Jeremy," she whispered, thinking of her son. Admiral Ramirez stood up. Her face was like stone. "Prepare for a stealth approach. We need to get closer without being detected, and ready the special operations teams. Commander Rodriguez, report to the command deck." An hour later, Victor Rodriguez stood before the Admiral. He was a strong man with dark eyes that had seen many battles on Earth. Now he would lead the first human mission to an alien world. "Your team will take 3 stealth shuttles to the surface," Ramirez told him. "Your mission is to gather intelligence, and if possible, locate and make contact with at least one of our children." Rodriguez nodded. "We'll bring one back, Admiral." "Be careful," she warned. "We don't know what defenses they have on the ground. This is a recon mission only. No engagement unless absolutely necessary." That night, as the Earth fleet hid behind one of the system's moons, 3 small black shuttles slipped away. They used no lights and their engines made almost no heat. They were invisible to most sensors. Rodriguez sat in the lead shuttle with 5 of his best soldiers. All of them had children who had been taken. All of them had trained for 3 years for this moment. 2 minutes to atmosphere, the pilot said quietly. Rodriguez checked his gear one last time. A stun weapon, a knife, a small computer that could connect to alien systems, and a medical kit with special tools designed to safely disconnect a child from alien technology if they found one. Remember, he told his team, we're not here for revenge, not yet. We're here for information. The shuttles entered the alien atmosphere high above what looked like a vast city. Lights spread out below them like stars on the ground. The buildings were tall and curved, unlike anything on Earth. Some seemed to be made of metal, others of some kind of crystal that glowed softly in the dark. The shuttles landed in a forest area outside the city. The air was breathable but smelled strange, like cinnamon and metal. The gravity was a little lighter than Earth's, making each step feel bouncy. Move out, Rodriguez ordered. Stay in the shadows. The team made its way toward the city. They saw no guards, no walls, no obvious defenses. Either the aliens felt very safe or their security systems were too advanced to be visible. At the edge of the city, they stopped. A large building rose before them, pulsing with blue light, the same color as the beams that had taken the children from Earth. That's our target, Rodriguez said, pointing to the building. Our scans show it has the highest concentration of the energy pattern associated with the children's signals. Getting inside was surprisingly easy. The aliens had no locks on their doors. The team slipped through an entrance and found themselves in a vast, open space. The walls glowed with soft light, and the floor hummed beneath their feet. This way, their tech specialist whispered, following readings on a small device. The signal is strongest down there. They descended several levels, moving deeper into the structure. Finally, they reached a massive room filled with glowing tanks. Each tank contained clear liquid, and floating in each tank was a child. Tubes and wires connected the children to the walls and ceiling of the room. "Oh my God," someone whispered. There were hundreds of tanks, maybe thousands, and in each one a human child floated, eyes closed, suspended in the strange liquid. Rodriguez approached one of the tanks. Inside was a boy about 10 years old. His chest rose and fell. He was breathing. Through a mask. He looked peaceful, as if sleeping. "Can we get him out?" Rodriguez asked the team's doctor. She studied the connections running to the boy. "Maybe, but we need to be careful. If we disconnect him wrong, it could hurt him." They worked slowly, using the special tools they had brought. After 20 tense minutes, they managed to disconnect most of the wires. The boy's eyes fluttered open. "It's okay," Rodriguez said gently. "We're from Earth. We've come to take you home." The boy stared at him with wide eyes. When he spoke, his voice was weak. "My name is Ryan Cooper. I've been here for 3 years, 2 months and 16 days. He started to cry. "You really came?" "Yes," Rodriguez said, his own eyes filling with tears. "We really came. Can you tell us anything about these aliens, what they want with you?" Ryan nodded weakly. "They use us to think for them. Our brains help their machines work better. We solve problems they can't solve." His voice dropped to a whisper. "There are more of us in other places, and we're not the first. They've taken children from other worlds too, for hundreds of years." A soft alarm began to sound. The team's tech specialist looked at her device with alarm. "They know we're here. We need to go now." Rodriguez looked at the thousands of tanks, at all the children they couldn't save yet. "We'll be back," he promised. "We'll save all of you." They carried Ryan back to the shuttle. As they lifted off, the city below them came alive with activity. Lights brightened. Strange vehicles rose into the air. "They're following us," the pilot warned. "Evasive maneuvers," Rodriguez ordered. "Get us back to the fleet." As the shuttle raced back to the waiting Earth ships, Rodriguez held the boy's hand. "You're safe now, and soon all the others will be too." Ryan looked up at him with tired eyes. "They don't understand what they did," he said softly. "They don't understand what humans are like. They don't know what happens when you take someone's children." "They're about to find out," Rodriguez promised. Commander Rodriguez's shuttle returned to the North America with Ryan Cooper safely aboard. The boy was weak but alive. Dr. Nicole Anderson, the fleet's head doctor, took him to the medical bay right away. "His body is healthy," she told Admiral Ramirez later. "But his mind has been connected to alien technology for 3 years. He'll need time to adjust to normal life again." Ryan sat up in his bed, sipping water through a straw. His eyes moved constantly, taking in everything around him. After being part of an alien computer system for so long, ordinary things seemed strange to him. "Can you tell us more about the Meraxians?" Admiral Ramirez asked him gently. Ryan nodded. "They don't think like us. They don't understand emotions the way we do. They took us because they needed our brains, but they don't understand what they did wrong." He paused. "They think of us like tools, not people." Dr. Ross leaned forward. "Do they know we're here?" "Yes," Ryan said. "They're confused. They didn't think humans could travel through space so quickly. They thought it would take us hundreds of years to develop that technology." He looked down at his hands. "They're preparing their defenses now. They're afraid." "Good," someone muttered. Admiral Ramirez studied the maps of the planet. "We need to move quickly. How many children are in that facility?" "About 5,000 in that one," Ryan answered. "But there are more facilities on the other planets. Maybe 30,000 children total." The number hung in the air. 30,000 children, all connected to alien machines, being used as living computer parts. "Can we disconnect them all safely?" Ramirez asked Dr. Anderson. The doctor looked troubled. "Based on what we've learned from Ryan, it's not just a physical connection. Their minds are linked to the system. If we disconnect them wrong, it could cause brain damage." Catherine Mitchell had been sitting quietly, listening. Now she spoke up. "But you can do it? You can bring them back safely?" "I believe so," Dr. Anderson said. "We've developed a disconnection protocol, but we'll need time. We can't just rush in and pull them out." Admiral Ramirez stood up. "Then we'll make time. We'll engage the Meraxians in space, keep their attention on us while ground. Teams infiltrate the facilities and begin disconnecting the children." She looked around the room. "We came here to bring our children home, and that's what we're going to do." That night, the Earth fleet moved out from behind the moon. They no longer tried to hide. The 5 massive ships formed a line, weapons ready, and headed straight for the third planet. It didn't take long for the Meraxians to respond. Dozens of smaller ships rose from the planet's surface. They were sleek and fast, with the same dark color as the ships that had taken the children from Earth. "They're hailing us," the communications officer said. Admiral Ramirez nodded. "Put them through." The main screen filled with the image of a Meraxian. It looked nothing like a human. Its body was long and insect-like, with 4 arms and a head that seemed too large for its body. Its skin was pale blue and seemed to glow slightly. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move. The words simply appeared in the minds of everyone listening. "You have violated our territory," it said. "Retreat immediately or face destruction." Admiral Ramirez stood tall. "I am Admiral Julie Ramirez, of the Earth Defense Fleet. You invaded our world and took our children. We have come to take them back." The Meraxian's large eyes blinked slowly. "The offspring serve a greater purpose now. They are integrated into our systems. Removing them would damage both them and us." "They are not yours to take," Ramirez said, her voice hard. "They are not tools. They are children, our children, and we want them back." "This is not possible," the Meraxian said. "Retreat, or we will destroy your ships." Ramirez cut the connection. "They're not going to listen to reason. Prepare for battle." The Meraxian ships moved first, firing energy weapons similar to the ones humans had developed. But the Earth ships were ready. Their shields, designed using what they had learned from studying the abduction ships, held against the attack. "Return fire," Ramirez ordered. Target their engines only. We don't need to destroy them, just keep them busy. On the command deck of the North America, officers worked their stations with grim focus. This was the moment they had trained for over 3 years, the chance to fight back against those who had taken their children. Behind the main battle, 12 small stealth shuttles slipped past the fighting. Each carried a team of soldiers and doctors heading for the facilities where the children were kept. Commander Rodriguez led the first team, heading back to the same facility he had found Ryan in. Remember, he told his team, our primary goal is to disconnect and retrieve the children. Avoid conflict with the Meraxians if possible. The battle in space grew more intense. The Meraxian ships were faster, but the Earth ships had better shields and weapons. Neither side could gain a clear advantage. Admiral, the science officer called, we're detecting a strange energy buildup in their ships. Before Ramirez could respond, a Meraxian voice filled their minds again. But this time, it wasn't the alien commander. It was the voice of a human child, being forced to speak through the alien communication system. Please stop attacking, the child's voice begged. You're hurting us. Go home and leave us here. We're happy here. Around the command deck, faces paled. They knew it was a trick, the Meraxians using the children against them. But hearing a child beg them to stop was almost unbearable. Admiral Ramirez gripped the edge of her command station. They think this makes us weak, she said through clenched teeth. They think using our children against us will make us give up. She looked up, her eyes burning. They don't understand humans at all. She opened a channel to all Earth ships. This is Admiral Ramirez. The Meraxians are using our children to speak for them. Do not be fooled. Remember why we came here. Remember what they did. Press the attack. On the planet's surface, Rodriguez's team had reached the central control room of the facility. They had encountered little resistance. Most of the Meraxians were focused on the space battle. Dr. Anderson, Rodriguez called over the radio. We're in position, ready to begin disconnection procedures. From the medical bay of the North America, Dr. Anderson directed the teams on how to safely remove the children from the alien systems. It was delicate work, and it had to be done perfectly to avoid harming the children. As the Earth teams worked, something unexpected happened. The facility's TSIT systems began to shut down, lights dimmed. The humming of machinery grew quieter. What's happening? Rodriguez asked the team's tech specialist. She studied her equipment with surprise. The children, they're helping us. They're shutting down the systems from the inside. Once freed from the tanks, the children were weak but conscious. Many cried when they saw the human soldiers. Some hadn't seen another human in 3 years. We need to move quickly, Rodriguez told his team. Get the children to the shuttles. As the first group of rescued children reached the shuttles, Rodriguez received a message from Admiral Ramirez. The Meraxian fleet is retreating. They're pulling back to defend their homeworld. We've won this round, Commander. Bring our children home. The first battle for humanity's children was over, but the war had just begun. Over the next week, Earth forces secured all 3 planets in the Meraxian colony system. The main Meraxian fleet had retreated through another wormhole, running back to their home world. They had not expected humans to fight so hard or to have advanced so quickly. On the North America, Admiral Ramirez met with her officers to plan their next move. The mood was mixed. They had won their first battles, but there was still much to do. Status report, Ramirez said. Commander Rodriguez stood up. We've secured all major facilities on the 3 planets. Over 12,000 children have been disconnected from the Meraxian systems and are receiving medical care. And the rest? Ramirez asked. Still missing, Rodriguez said. Based on what we've learned from the captured Meraxian scientists, the rest were taken to their home world. When they realized we were coming, Dr. Nicole Anderson spoke next. The rescued children are doing well physically. Mentally, it will take time. They've been part of an alien computer network for 3 years. Adjusting to normal life won't be easy. Catherine Mitchell had been helping with the rescued children. Many of them are having trouble sleeping, she said. They miss the constant flow of information they had while connected to the system. But they're children. They're adaptable. They'll recover. Admiral Ramirez nodded. And what have we learned about the Meraxians? Dr. Ross cleared his throat. They're an old species. They've been harvesting other races for thousands of years. The children we rescued have told us there are others. Children from at least 24 other worlds, some taken generations ago. A heavy silence fell over the room. The problem was bigger than they had thought. This wasn't just about Earth's children anymore. Where are these other children? Ramirez asked. In storage vaults beneath the main facility on the third planet, Ross said. They're in some kind of suspended animation. They've been there for decades, maybe centuries. Ramirez's face hardened. Wake them up. All of them. The discovery of the alien children changed everything. Some had been taken so long ago that their home worlds might not even exist anymore. Some looked almost human, while others were very different, with extra limbs, strange skin, or eyes that could see colors humans couldn't imagine. Ryan Cooper, now recovering his strength, spent time with these awakened alien children. Despite their differences, they understood each other. They had all been taken from their homes and used by the Meraxians. They're scared, Ryan told Admiral Ramirez. They don't know if they can go home. Some of them don't even remember their homeworlds. We'll help them, Ramirez promised. All of them. But first, they had to deal with the Meraxians. The remaining Earth children were still being held on the Meraxian homeworld. Ramirez called a meeting with representatives from all the rescued alien species. Some communicated through computers, others through sign language or colors that changed on their skin. But they all agreed on one thing: the Meraxians had to be stopped. Together, we're stronger than they are, Ramirez told them. If we work together, we can free all the children and make sure the Meraxians never do this again. Ramirez sent a message to the Meraxian leaders. The message was simple. Return all human children within one standard cycle. For each child not returned, we will liberate one of your worlds. This is not a negotiation. With the message, she included detailed plans of Meraxian defense systems, proof that humans had completely figured out their technology. The response came 3 days later. Meraxian ships began arriving at the colony system, carrying the remaining human children. The aliens had realized they had no choice. Humans had mastered space travel, developed weapons that could defeat their defenses, and united with other species against them. For the first time in their long history, the Meraxians faced an enemy they couldn't defeat. Dr. Anderson and her medical teams worked day and night to disconnect the children safely from the alien systems. Some children had been connected longer than others and needed special care, but one by one, they were freed and began their journey back to being normal kids again. As the Earth fleet prepared to return home, Admiral Ramirez met with representatives from the other species. Together they formed an alliance, not just for defense, but to ensure the Meraxians would never threaten developing worlds again. We'll establish outposts throughout this region of space, Ramirez told them. Together, we'll watch for any sign that the Meraxians are returning to their old ways. The journey home was much easier than the journey out had been. The Earth ships had been improved with knowledge gained from studying Meraxian technology. The wormhole generator worked perfectly this time, with no ships lost in transit. As the fleet approached Earth, Admiral Ramirez stood on the command deck of the North America. Beside her stood Catherine and Alan Mitchell, reunited with their son Jeremy at last. I never lost hope, Catherine said, holding her son's hand tightly. Not for a single day. Jeremy looked up at his mother. He was taller now, and his eyes seemed older than his years. I knew you'd come, he said. All of us knew. That's why we kept singing Earth songs through the system. We knew you'd hear us. On Earth, people gathered in huge crowds to welcome the fleet home. Parents waited anxiously to be reunited with children they hadn't seen in over 3 years. There would be challenges ahead. The children had changed, and so had Earth. But they were home, and that was what mattered. In Geneva, the Earth Defense Alliance held a special meeting. The experience had transformed humanity's place in the universe. They were no longer alone, and they were no longer helpless. They had allies among the stars and the technology to travel between worlds. Catherine Mitchell addressed the assembly. "We entered space looking for our children," she said. "We return with them, but also with knowledge that we're not alone. The universe can be dangerous, but we've proven that humanity will fight for its own, no matter the odds." A year later, at a special school in New York, Samantha Carter sat with a group of younger children. Like her, they had been rescued from the Moraxian systems. Some still had trouble adjusting to normal life. "It gets easier," she told them. "The dreams about being connected to the system will fade. You'll remember how to be human again." A small boy looked up at her. "Why did they take us?" he asked. Samantha thought about this question. She had asked it herself many times. "They took us because they thought we were just things they could use," she said. "They didn't understand what humans are really like. They didn't know that when you take someone's child, there's nothing in the universe that will stop them from finding you." She looked out the window at the sky. Earth had changed. Spacecraft now regularly traveled between Earth and the new outposts in nearby star systems. The children who had been taken were helping scientists understand alien technology better, and humanity stood ready to defend not just Earth, but any world threatened by those who would harvest children. "They learned their lesson," Samantha said with a smile. "Don't mess with human children.